Tonight's show, we're extraordinarily blessed and pleased to have really excellent credit, lender, and underwriting specialists, experts in their field. And our first guest is one of my great friends, somebody I truly trust, Dave Schram.
Hi, Barry.
Hi, Dave. Now, you are a credit specialist. Exactly what do you call your company?
Well, I call it 740 Plus.
I love it.
And that is because, as our mortgage lenders will tell you, when you have a 740 mortgage FICO score, you get the best interest rates possible.
So, creme de la creme.
Indeed.
Okay, so Dave, what do you call yourself?
Well, I call myself the rocket scientist of FICO scores and credit.
I love that. But now anybody can go in and do credit repair and credit correction. Is that true?
Not at all. Not according to California law.
Okay.
Or federal law, for that matter.
Okay.
Here in California, the state requires registration with the Department of Justice and a $100,000 bond on file with the Secretary of State, good for 2 years.
Okay, and about how many credit repair and credit correction companies do that?
In the 90s, under 100.
Under 100, and you're talking statewide?
Statewide. So my company is one of 90-some. And here's something fun and interesting. The lawyer that was helping our company register said, by reading the agreement, Dave, you are the only one of the 90-some who also follows the federal laws, the only one.
Whoa. Okay, so what about the other chuckleheads who don't?
Well, they get results generally one of two ways, but either one is fraud.
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 Okay, well, no, that's a big word.
It is.
That's got real implications. So they go in and they massage somebody's credit to get the loan, and then what happens?
Well, let's back up a little bit.
Please.
Okay. Typical fraudulent credit repair, and this is basically in violation of federal laws, is either to dispute, challenge the truth of accurately reported credit, or to change the credit report in other ways that are outright fraud, such as adding credit to the credit report that does not belong to the consumer.
Okay, I can see how that could be fraud.
It would.
Yeah.
Or even starting a completely new credit file with a new 9-digit number and calling it a Social Security number.
Yeah, okay, that's fraud too.
It sure is.
Yeah, it's like going into the graveyard and picking somebody altogether new, and it's a do-over, but that's fraud.
It is.
Okay, so you don't participate, nor do you allow any of your clients to do that.
Absolutely not.
Because it's going to bounce back, right?
Well, the enforcement is pretty light in terms of manpower. But yes, every week an attorney sends me a list of people in California who've been indicted for or convicted for mortgage fraud. And the list is not short.
And the penalties are not small.
The penalties are enormous, up to 30 years in the federal pajamas.
Yeah.
Or up to $1 million in fine.
But the reason that I work with you is because I trust you. Now, when somebody comes to you, what is it that they're expecting to accomplish?
Well, they want to achieve their credit goal, usually a mortgage loan, sometimes a business loan, or just not having to pay 18 to 25% interest on their car loan.
Big gotcha. Okay. So they come to you and the process takes about how long?
It is very case by case. First question for me is, can I accept the case? Because unlike the rest of credit repair out there, I know that I can't make everyone happy with what is legal to do.
Oh,
so
okay.
I can only accept about 2 out of 3 cases that come my way.
So the odd constraint is that you expect people to be also legal with you.
Yes, and with their lender.
If you just tuned in, you're listening to Investing Insights with Barry Burnett on Talk Radio 790 KABC. And my special guest is Dave Schram, the rocket scientist of FICO scores and credit. And Dave, what we're talking about is something that's earth-shattering if you're fraudulent, and extraordinarily peace-building, let somebody sleep if you just handle it straight. Now, you take people who have damage and try to help them manage it?
So long as the action with the credit report itself is legal.
Okay.
I'll give you some examples.
Please.
Some people ask me, how much will it cost to remove the foreclosure or bankruptcy from my credit reports? Well, my first question is, did you actually go bankrupt? Did you actually get foreclosed upon? When the answer is yes, I have to educate them in the federal law. It's illegal to even attempt to get those off the credit reports. And it's not just one federal law, it's 3 federal laws. So the law is pretty clear and strong on the issue.
Yeah, the referee just threw the flag and blew the whistle.
Yeah. On the other hand, there are things that are legal to get off of credit reports. It's not just my opinion. I've checked it with consumer attorneys across the country. There is no federal statute or state statute requiring a company to report something on credit. Only that if they report, that it's accurate. Fair Credit Reporting Act, federal law. So when a creditor or lender is willing to take something off of the credit report, willing, meaning they're not deceived into it by the dispute letter process,
Right.
then that can come off of the credit.
But
would you like an example?
Yes, and then I need you to tell us some of the things that you've recently accomplished that actually got my eyes really big. Okay,
Sure.
so go ahead.
Okay, so in certain cases, the IRS is actually willing to cancel a federal tax lien.
Cancel.
And it doesn't have to be paid off. And this is important because the lien off of credit makes FICO scores jump enormously in most cases. Okay, so the IRS willingly cancels the lien, and we interact with the IRS for that. That's very upfront. They issue the lien cancellation. It gets filed at the county recorder, and that letter is sent to the credit reporting agencies, and by law, they have to remove the lien from the credit report.
Ding, 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 ding. Okay, we have a winner.
Yes.
And that can be huge. Give me some numbers.
In terms of FICO increase?
Yes.
Absolutely. If it's the only negative item on the credit report, depending on the age, 30, 120 points.
That's
enormous jumps.
That's huge. And that may make the difference between somebody qualifying or not qualifying, or some massive rate differential?
Oh, absolutely. It could be the difference between poor and good to excellent credit.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Life happens, and sometimes something gets reported, and sometimes it's questionable, and sometimes it's just flat out, there it is, like you're talking about. You can't move off something that was correctly identified on a credit report. But sometimes there are things that you can negotiate. And you've negotiated recently where the numbers, the dollar figures have dropped off very dramatically, haven't you?
Yes, that's called debt settlement, but it's an enormous part of what I do.
Okay.
So collection accounts, bad debt, and so forth, it typically 40 to 70, 80% off. Occasionally, 100% debt elimination.
Wow.